Greetings all, thedvsmonkey here. All right, it's nice enough out right now, albeit a little cloudy, a little windy, but not pouring down rain, which gives me the perfect opportunity to do my normal walk through the neighborhood to see how this gimbal works with the Sony a6600 on it. So I broke it all down, got in the kitchen, got the scale out, and I weighed everything, since some people were asking about it. Plus I was curious myself to see what the final iteration of how I put this together, how it would work once I got the Crane M2. Approximately 760, I think, to 780 grams is the max payload for this gimbal. When I weighed the a6600 using the 16-50 3.5 to 5.6 kit lens, it has a UV filter on it, and then I also weighed it with a 3-stop ND filter on it. Plus, I have the SmallRig hot shoe relocation plate attachment on it and a Peak Design Arca Swiss plate. So when I weighed all that, it came up to 708 grams. So well below the payload maximum. Now, just to be on the safe side, I went into the settings and I changed the motors from low, which was the default, up to high, just to make sure that I've got enough power to deal with the camera. I think this is going to work out very well. So far, looks pretty good, because normally if I watch my footage on the screen when I'm walking, it looks horrible. I can tell it looks horrible, and then when I get into editing, it definitely looks horrible. Some of the questions that were asked, one was payload. A6600, with all the shit that I've gone on it, came up to 708 grams. Well below the 760 to 780 gram max that's listed or said everywhere. I have the gimbal itself put into go mode because I'm constantly switching my hands or moving around and all that stuff, and it seems to work really well to keep me in frame. The motor right now set it high. Somebody did mention to me that you push the trigger 3 times, but I stayed up late last night watching a shit ton of videos on this, and I figured that out. So I know that I don't have to use the app to control this like I thought I did. I just have to know what buttons to push. So if you're pushing the M button down there, you push that twice and that puts it in go mode. What I have found though is that once it's in go mode, you cannot use the joystick to move, move the lens up and down. So make sure you have yourself approximately in frame or where you want it to be before you hit that mode button twice to put it into go mode. Otherwise, you won't be able to adjust it. And then of course, if you hit the trigger 3 times, that spins the mechanism around so that you're in vlogging mode. What I found online was that there were very few, if any, videos that talked about using this Crane M2 with an a6600. They were always a6500, a6400, all the 6000 series except for an a6600, which is why I wanted to do that video that I did with my initial thoughts. And it proved to be a good choice because I got a lot of views already, for me, and I also got several questions. That tells me that there are other people out there that are hungry for the info on the 6600. That's what led me to today's video, where I decided that I would be a lot more specific and try to hit all those questions that I've had and that clearly other people have because they asked them. Another person asked me if my camera has heated up noticeably, because his did. As far as I can tell, like right now, it's been on a while. Of course, I'm outside and it's in the upper 50s, so I can't feel anything. I have never, ever had this shut off from overheating. I've never felt it to be like too hot to touch or anything. And you know how I shoot, and that's I start shooting and then I go for my walk. So that's up to, we'll say 40 minutes to an hour when I'm walking around. And I've never had it overheat. I've never had it shut off. Now, onto the settings for my a6600. I have gone back and forth over these couple of years with all the various cameras that I've gotten and used and the ones that I'm finally keeping and using. So I've gone back and forth on what frame rate to shoot, what file size or, bit rate, all that kind of stuff. I'm shooting videos for YouTube. I don't need the new Canon R5 with 8K. Me, the gadget freak, I still don't even have a 4K TV. Most people don't even have 4K TVs. They definitely don't have computers that can handle 4K. And most people on YouTube are watching videos on their phones. So most of them aren't watching in 4K either. That being said, I shoot in 1080 24p. I also shoot in shutter priority. I don't shoot in manual like everybody says you have to. I think that's bullshit. I don't need to be dicking around with all those settings. This isn't any heavier than any other setup that I've had. You can definitely, I mean, yeah, you're gonna feel some weight, but it's completely doable. I thought that having in-body image stabilization and optical steady shot would have made the footage buttery smooth. That's not the case. Everybody knows it. Sony is not known for their image stabilization. They're known for their autofocus. The autofocus is freaking sorcery. It is amazing. It is better than anything. Even after I did the firmware updates on my G9, I still think it sucks. When I'm sitting in my office, I can watch it hunting on the screen, and that made me so mad I wanted to take a hammer to it. I'm like elated now that I have this Crane M2 with the Sony a6600 and the Sony 16-50 kit lens, plus the Rode Wireless Go. It is the perfect setup for me, and it might be for you too. Once I figured out how to use all these little markings and little doodads that they've got on here to make balancing quicker, balancing was a piece of cake. I mean, I can take everything off if I want to and get it. I know I can get it set up in under a minute, which is most excellent. I don't know if you have any other questions. I know that as I walk through the neighborhood here, it looks great to me on screen, visibly, noticeably better than when I was using any other grip. That includes that Sony Bluetooth grip, the Gorilla Pods, the Switch Pod. I mean, other than the other gimbal that I have, the Zhiyun, the Grain Plus, that is for a full big ass setup. But walking around vlogging with that thing, no way. Way too big, way too heavy. This though, perfect, absolutely perfect. I finally got the perfect setup for me. That's all I got. If you have any questions, continue to put them down below. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for asking questions. Like, subscribe, all that shit. And remember, kids, forward and up.